everyone, and welcome to our online learning panel talk. Today, we're covering the topic of balancing work, life, and online learning. So thank you for joining us. I'll briefly introduce our panel that have joined us today. So with us, we have Tomás O'Flaherty, who is Head of Department for Marketing, Tourism, Sport at ATU Sligo. Hi, Tomás.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Cleo.
We also have Mary Tully, who is an online student advisor. So Mary works with students in the areas of health science and life science. So Mary, thanks very much for joining us.
Hi, everyone.
And we're also joined by Philip Gerard, who is an award-winning graduate of our ATU Sligo Masters in Connected and Autonomous Vehicles. So we'll talk more about that in a little while, Philip, but thank you very much for dialing in today from Canada.
No worries. Hi, everyone.
So just at the format of today, the talk will last approximately 20 minutes. We're going to cover various different topics, from the academic experience of balancing, how students can balance, to our support services, to kind of a graduate talking about their experience as well. There is a live Q&A running at the moment. So if anything comes up that you have questions on, please do feel free to go to the Q&A section, type in your questions, and our team is there to answer them. But I think this will be a really interesting talk. Again, it's more an advice piece. It's kind of, if you're considering starting studying with us in September, just the things that you maybe need to put in place, or the supports that are available to make sure that taking on this piece of work, taking on this online course, can marry up with everything else that's going on in your life throughout the period of study. So that's the kind of general gist of today, but I will kick off now just with yourself, Tomás. We'll maybe just have a little talk about kind of the academic side of things. So you yourself, you've obviously lectured for many years. You've also been a course coordinator for online courses. When somebody is currently looking at their options, maybe they've already signed up, they've paid their deposit, they're ready to go. When you're coming to the point of getting started, have you got any advice for people around the level of commitment that they need in terms of considering kind of balancing that work life and studying?
Sure, Cleo. I suppose my background, I've lectured for many years online, and now I'm head of department, but a lot of my experience is based on feedback from students themselves through induction days and right through the academic year. And as we approach induction day, I suppose I would always suggest that students start considering what time they will have available to study during the week. And they start to look at a timetable where they set aside guaranteed time that they'll have to not only look at live lectures or recorded lectures, but also to work on their assignments and do their background reading. This is very important because often people maybe forget about assigning that extra time when they're planning their work. And then they find towards the end of the semester, or even the end of the academic year, things have started to build up on them. So if you can create or start to plan your own time even before induction in terms of when you think you'll have free time, because we all know as lecturers that you're busy professional people with busy personal lives. So it's, I suppose, eking out that little time that you can dedicate to your study each week. And if you do that from the start, it's all about incremental learning. As we say to our students, we like to see our students passing, and it's just a matter of putting in a certain amount of work every week so that you're keeping on top of things, because it can build up quite quickly. Obviously, the degree of difficulty will depend, or the degree of, let's say, amount of work that you have to do will depend on the level of your degree. So if you're doing a level 6 to a level 7 and 8 or 9, it all varies. So I wouldn't give you a per hour, let's say, requirement, and your lecturers will be able to better do that. But the important part in terms of academic demand is that there will be a significant amount of time on top of your live lectures to dedicate to assessments. And if you can plan it, then it will make your workload a little bit easier.
Yeah, that's good advice, Tomás. And another, I suppose, point you made there, which is very relevant, is that the majority of our students studying online learning, it's a part-time course. We're very kind of aware that people are working full-time. We're very aware that people have other commitments, like whether that's family commitments or hobbies or sport commitments outside of kind of the studying. So again, I think the way that the lecturing is set up as well is ideal to allow people to kind of balance the two.
Yeah. So it's a good point, Cleo, because often students ask me, do I have to attend a live lecture? So no, you don't generally. Obviously, there's certain times we might have guest lectures where it'd be nice to have you there. But if you tell your lecturer a certain time doesn't suit me and that I'll catch up on the recordings, that's fine, okay, as long as you can plan your time to do that and not maybe let it slip by. So there's no major issue for any lecturer that I know that if you can't attend a live lecture, then there's any issue as long as you can keep on top of it afterwards. In terms of the recordings, they're very useful. Obviously, if you've been in the live lecture, you can go back over and understand something. One thing I would promote though about live lectures, if you can make them to it, I would always encourage students to do that, because you can interact with the lecturer, you can ask questions live and you can get answers there and then. You can follow up obviously on the recorded lecture in our virtual learning environment, which you'll become familiar with, and you can post questions on the forum again, which I would ask all my students to do, because it gets engagement across the module and across students. But it's important to remember the way we've set it up here at ATU Sligo is that if you can't make a certain lecture, it's there for you again, and it can be adapted to suit your lifestyle. Obviously, there will be demands on your lifestyle in terms of you have to be committed to your study, but you can focus that around how best fits with your learning.
Yeah, that's good point. And the other thing is getting in that habit of learning as well. Like I think what's good as well is if you're attending the live lectures, it's a weekly check-in, that you've blocked out that time as well. You're integrating it into your kind of daily, weekly schedule, so it's a good habit to get into, I think, for that learning mindset.
I think so. I would always say to my students, please do come to live lecture because it's a better experience for us. But if you can't, block out time every week to listen to recorded lectures. So for example, only last semester, I had a student who listened to them at 6 o'clock in the morning because it suited me with young children, but I was getting my questions then at 7 or 7:10 in the morning. So it can work for you, but if you can certainly engage with live lectures. I would also say for assessments as well, it's good to be there for live lectures, and you can have a discussion around that at the end of the lecture, and it gets you interacting in that way. Again, about the planning, I would also plan in over the course of the semester when you find out what assessments are coming on what dates. If you create your own mini calendar for when they're due, that allows you to move things. So for example, you might have communions coming in May or something like that. It allows you not to allow your assessments to build up, and you can deal with that, and then it doesn't feel so challenging once you're on top of it that way.
Yeah, that's a good point. The planning element of that is facilitated as well through our academic schedule. I do think that people are given again through the process of induction and the early stage lectures as well, those dates are usually flagged early enough, so that people can actually put them in their diaries and work towards them.
Yes, most programs now that are online would have an agreed, let's say, assessment template. It's done differently across different programs and by different lecturers, but they'll typically tell you at the start of or at induction or the start of the module when you'll be expecting these assessments, what week or what date exactly, and then it allows you to plan. So it is an important aspect, and we understand that because we know everyone's busy. And one thing I suppose is that what if I can't get my assessment in, because some of them can be quite demanding. It's always better if you're struggling to let your lecturer know well in advance and just say, I can't make live lectures, I have to listen to recorded lectures, or I'm struggling with this assessment, rather than letting the time pass, because we can address it that way, because obviously we want you to do well, and we'll support you how we can.
Great, Thomas. I was just going to ask about that. Like, I suppose the approachable nature, some people, again, they feel a bit isolated, or they might think it's isolating studying online. But actually, again, how we communicate on a day-to-day basis in our work is also via email. It's no different in the academic world, or how if you're not going to make a deadline for something, you need extra support, your lecturers are approachable. That's, I suppose, something that, we have to be kind of encouraging people to.
Yeah, and I think everyone will find that, like, we're lecturers, we love talking about our subject, but we also want to help our students pass our modules. And really how we do that is we try and look at the assessment schedules, as we mentioned earlier. But then if students are finding it difficult, if they tell us in time, we can talk to them. We can either meet them online or we can do that by email, however it suits. And we can discuss what are the options in terms of addressing those learning outcomes. The assessment will have to be done, but maybe you suddenly have something at work that has become critical and you're just not going to have the time to finish it off. If you tell the lecturer, and there's a process to do that as well that you can follow, then something can be done to help you out with that. And you shouldn't let that stress you too significantly. It's always going to cause us some stress. That's just by the nature of it. But if we address it early on, it's, it should be a more pleasant experience.
Yeah, no, look, and that's great. And I'm sure over the years you've seen the whole full remit of what's, what it can be accommodated and the challenges that people come up against. So look, thank you for your advice on that. I'm going to, I think that's been great to hear it from your side, from the lecturers and that year's experience you have teaching and supporting students. So I'm going to move on now to Mary. Mary, thank you for joining us. So you are an online student advisor, and I think that's a huge asset that our students get to tap into here in ATU Sligo when they're studying online. So if you could, so you're there to kind of help support students, whether that's kind of through their learning journey, just to give people the context. So it's from application right through to kind of the graduation side as well. And you're there as kind of a go-between, maybe between the lecturers, between the students and other services across the college. So I know we had an initial chat just about this, and one of the things we thought were important was kind of giving people an encouragement to make the best start in their online learning journey, because that can really help plan and balance what students are expecting in the weeks ahead. So do you want to talk to me about that a little bit?
Yeah, sure, Cleo. Well, I suppose the online student advisor is a relatively new role, but I think critical and very supportive to the student. So each of us have, a particular suite of programs that we look after. And I suppose I'd see our role as nearly like a one-stop shop for the student, because as we said, and Tomo said earlier, they're busy people professionally, busy home lives. So where you can cut down on the amount of time that they have to spend, maybe unnecessarily going through our website or looking for links, I think that's where we come in to support the student. We communicate with them regularly throughout the year, but especially at the start when everything can feel a bit overwhelming. They're starting this new study life. So we advise them on registration processes. We supply them with links. We advise them on, where they can go for timetables, supports that are available. And so it cuts down on the amount of time they have to spend, looking for those places to apply. Yeah. And I suppose crucially now this year, induction is so important for the student to attend induction and get an overview of what's ahead. And a lot of the coordinators hold their own induction evenings with a lot of valuable information. But what we have found is, they're getting communication at that time of the year, left, right, and center, really. There's links, there's passwords, there's pins, and it can all feel a bit much. So this year we have a pre-induction page on our website, and it's available now at the moment. The link is going out with all offers, and it's www.atu.ie/Sligo online induction. And within that, you'll get the link to the pre-induction.
Brilliant. So that'll help people, I suppose, get a sense of what's ahead and get themselves geared up, I suppose, because you say when it comes to September and lectures starting and induction, it's all kind of coming at you, If anybody who knows they're starting in September, that they want to just get ahead, get prepared, set aside an hour or something to go.
They have the time now maybe to scan the pages, it's all there. And what it's even brilliant is there's a mock Moodle page.
Oh, very good.
So because a lot of them find that a lot daunting, Moodle, and where's the links and where can I get in? So this gives them a chance now to have a look, to familiarize themselves with what it looks like, where they can see their recorded lectures, where the coordinator will have, or the lecturer will have information up. And it just gives them a chance then to see the supports that are available, the academic writing centre, the maths centre, information on exams. And then there's information on the OSAs as well, if Brilliant. They want to make contact with us.
Yeah, no, that's great advice. I think
Yeah.
again, the supports that are available, it's maybe if somebody's been out of education for a while and maybe, would have maybe studied as a full-time undergraduate student, that it's having that awareness that whole support system is actually still in place for an
Yes.
online student as well. Like the
Yeah.
things you mentioned, like academic writing, math support, counselling services as well, all
Yes.
that side of things.
Yeah. And we communicate regularly with them on all of those supports that are available and where they can access them.
Thank you, Mary.
Okay.
Look, I think that's been a great overview for people to kind of get them started, know where the supports are. And again, the OSAs will be reaching out pretty soon to all the new starts, making the introductions and signposting to various support services. So I'm going to move on now. Thank you, Mary, to our final panelist, Philip. How are you today?
I'm good, yeah.
Good. So Philip studied with ATU Sligo online for almost 3 years, so 2 years of the Masters, and is an award-winning graduate, as I mentioned. So you won recently the best presentation at the International Conference on Automotive and Connected Vehicles in Montreal in Canada. So again, I think you've got some great life experience that you can throw into this discussion here. If you want to talk us through kind of, all you've mentioned it briefly to me, so I think it's great to hear, like, throughout your studies, you've moved house, moved jobs, you've studied, in different countries and stuff like that. So if you want to just give us an overview of that.
Yeah, so I started the course in September 2019. I kind of wanted to move country and also do a master's, and I was debating which to do. But with Sligo, the fact that it's online, I could do both, which was great. So shortly after starting the course, I moved to Canada, where I then took up work in my field, and I've been continuing working while I've been here. So initially I was doing a lot of lectures in person online, which, as Tom mentioned, is great because you get a much more interactive experience with the lectures. However, once I moved here, the time zones kind of was difficult to manage. So most of the lectures happened during my workday. And yeah, so since I've been here, I've moved house a few times. I moved job as well, and it has been a mental effort to keep the masters, a priority one the whole time. But it's been very manageable. The fact that it's remote, I found it easy. Like in one particular role, I had an hour-long commute on train every day, so I just watched the lectures then in the morning, pre-recorded, which was very useful. Other times, especially winter in Canada, it gets really cold. So you're very happy to spend a weekend in doing assignments. And then maybe, you can save everything to just do it on the weekend as well. But yeah, throughout it's been quite manageable.
Very good. Oh, that's like, as the topic is about balancing your work life and online learning. So you've managed to go through several significant life events throughout that, in terms of moving house, moving job, and at the same time keeping that going. So I suppose the recorded lectures are key in that, in terms of getting access to like lectures and contacting kind of your lecturers, or say working in group assignments. How did you find that kind of, around kind of keeping that going while you were, all the rest was going on?
So with group assignments, a lot of people are across the globe anyway. So I worked on one group that's 4 of us. Only one guy was in Ireland, one person in India, and another person was also in North America. So you do have to be very conscious of working across time zones. But it's most people are working professionals and have some experience of doing that anyway. And even if you're not, it's an important skill to have. So I find that very manageable. And, for some assignments, you don't even need to actually meet up face to face. You can just do a email kind of assign tasks out and work on your given part, which also works quite well.
Very good. So it's soft skills there as well as the core skills that you were learning. It's all that teamwork and collaborative working and everything that you're kind of honing in on that make it all very, very manageable. And then in terms of, like, I suppose you had to have that motivation. You were talking about, like, keeping it priority as well. Like, has the payoff, I suppose, been that, like to achieve your masters and to get that recognition, has there been kind of moments where it's really kind of helped you, drive you on as well? Like,
Yeah, so it has been quite good in that at one point I was doing a job that just had ludicrous work hours, and I noticed straight away that my master's was suffering. But I also learned that that wasn't the job for me, so I moved on from there, and now I'm in something more in my field and related to automotive. And with that, because a lot of people do get supports when they start from whatever company they're with. So now my current company has seen the results and that, okay, you've got this award recently. I've got some publications while doing the masters as well, which they're thrilled with, and it's benefited me in my career.
Oh, that's brilliant. Again, like the payoff you have, it doesn't come easy. You have to obviously dedicate to it, but having a supportive employer as well is probably a key life lesson as well for anybody who's actually kind of thinking of studying. You need to make sure that to have the balance right, that your employer is nearly behind you as well if you're balancing the two.
Yeah, correct. They should be aware of it, whether they support you. None of them gave me time off or anything for it. For if I had exams, I'd take some personal days. But once they're aware of it and they don't stress you out, it's always useful.
Good stuff. Look, there's some great tips there and advice. If there was somebody considering their options at the minute and they're sitting on the fence, would you have anything words of wisdom now that you're able to reflect back and that time has passed?
If you're passionate about it, do it. Like for me, the first 2 years of lectures, there's never an assignment that really felt like that much work. Most of them were always more enjoyment. And that should be the case for any masters you do. You shouldn't be doing it just to grind through it. You should be doing it because you're passionate about it. And yeah, if you have passion, you'll have energy for it.
Oh, that's great advice. And look, you've obviously done extremely well for yourself, and it's not an easy master's that you've taken on, that connected and autonomous vehicles. It requires a serious amount of dedication to get through it. So I'm definitely in awe, and well done, and congrats on everything you've achieved.
Thanks.
So look, thank you for joining us. Thank you for the panelists as well, Tomás, Mary and Philip. It's been great to get your advice and to really help students see how achievable it is, but also nearly the level of commitments and support that's needed to make it all happen. And hopefully, as I mentioned before, we have our live Q&A running. So if you have any questions, please do pop over to it, and our team will be there to answer any questions you have. And thank you for listening, and we'll hopefully speak to you again soon. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.